Okay, here we are looking at the chart for New Crest mining. I just have to blow this out a little bit, go straight out to the weekly view. So you can see over the longer period of time, since 2009, we really haven't done very much. It's been up and down. This was a bit of a dip buying opportunity. When the price got right down to $7.88, we've climbed out of that hole. We've headed higher. And right now we're sort of wandering around this range here, sort of between that high of about $38 and sort of that trending low of probably around $19.50, as you can see on the right of the chart there. So, you know, since August 2019, we've just had this dip. We've come back up and we've had another dip. This is now our third dip into these lows down here at this $23 mark. And we do believe there was a good opportunity to be getting in right here. That was late September 2021. We did manage to join these low points here. So we got one tap here at $19.05. We rallied, came back down, tapped it again at $20.90 odd cents. Rallied up and fell back down again. And we didn't quite get there on this occasion in this March low of 2021. Nor did we get very far with the rally. In fact, it rolled over pretty easily. And once we rolled over, we were able to join up these previous highs here to the new high that occurred right there. Probably should zoom in a little bit, make it a bit easier to see. And so we're able to join this high point over here and this high point here. And you can see that we did it again in, November 2021. So just this month. And it's now pulled back. I do believe that we're coming down to set up for another opportunity. I would love to see us hit this green line. We nearly hit it just there. We got to $23.64 just last week. And it's come, well, it's just really holding. It's not going up or down at this point. But, you know, on that weekly chart, that sort of the indicators are indicating to me anyway that, you know, we've got a little bit of time to wait before we get that next impulse move higher. I do believe that that next impulse higher will coincide probably with a break above this descending trend line here. Now, when will that be? That could be anywhere between, well, I mean, you can't really judge the date, but I mean, if we extend that trend line further, you know, at the latest, we're out here, August next year, according to the weekly chart. It's a long time to wait. I don't think we'll have to wait that long. They're just printing too much money, so that's just how it is. Actually, probably a bit longer than that. So that's New Crest mining on the weekly chart. I'll narrow in now onto the daily. So here's our daily chart. That's that descending line we were talking about. You can see it taps it a number of times on the way through here. And by the way, that's not the, I don't think that's the height, yeah. Oh yeah, it is. That's the height. Okay, so yeah, that gave us I guess the touching point that created this point to join that trend line. You can see we got up to it again, we've come back down. We're just turning this around here. The indicators are looking a bit more bullish on the daily chart as these are beginning to move upwards. And we're waiting for this blue line here to cross the black line. We'll start to head higher. So we play that by ear. Now, going forward, it doesn't mean that we're going to go, certainly not necessarily going to zoom straight up. I'm just going to get my arrow here. Yeah, so I don't think from where we are today that we're just going to head straight up on here. I mean, we may, but you've got that resistance, the 200-day moving average there, plus the descending trend line. This is going to be quite a challenge to get through this area here. So what perhaps might be more acceptable is we come up, touch, and then come back down. Maybe perhaps down here somewhere where this 50-day moving average would end up. And then from there we might head higher. We'll have to wait and see. So that, if we put that into perspective, I'll put a path on there. So something like this might occur. We'll come up somewhere up in this range here. Come back down. I'll adjust this in a sec. And then from there we go. Perhaps up here. And we might stuff around a little bit there. If I put a trend line on that, yeah, we probably put it there. So that would actually come back and touch here. Now that could be here, or it could be over here. I think the flatter this consolidation period in here is, so even if it was like this, that would be more bullish. This would be less bullish. So we're looking really for somewhere in this range here to tap into this and then head higher. So if you haven't got in on Crest mining, I mean, obviously there might be an opportunity here, but there might also be an opportunity here before we get the big breakout and head higher. Now, if things go the way we expect them to, we would expect that the Federal Reserve Bank of America will jawbone the idea of tapering and reducing their bond buying purchases, but I don't think they will they won't have a very easy time getting this through without there being an impact on the stock market. And I think if there is an impact on the stock market, they will abandon tapering and instead sit tight and wait, and perhaps even resume bond buying, which would prop markets up for a bit longer until they can work out what they could possibly do to rectify the situation. If that played out, I think that would be very bullish for Crest mining. So that's Crest mining. Next up, we'll take a look at NST. This is Northern Star. Okay, so this was kind of where I was thinking things might go when we're way back here. I was hoping we might see a repeat of this move here. So that matches up with this. Hasn't played out that way. It actually doesn't often play out exactly, but it does often get somewhere near it. So anyway, so I'm going to delete that now because that simply isn't going to work out. Interesting here, you'll see with Northern Star, and by the way, it is a gold miner, much like Crest mining. So generally they sort of have similar patterns. It's only really company-specific news that determines different shapes of these stocks. But you can see here what for, unlike Crest mining, Northern Star managed to actually break out above that descending line that we showed you earlier on the Crest chart. Broke out, we got to some new highs, and then there was that pummeling of the gold price, and that just has sent it back down, and it's now come down and touched that trend line again. And I do believe in the next day or so it'll probably trigger some more of this increasing histogram once it crosses over that zero line. We do expect that we will rally, but the challenge for Northern Star is going to be getting past this horizontal. If we can get past there, so say for example we came up here, you know, I would think that we'd stall somewhere in here, come back down, and then we go and head higher. That's the bullish case. At what point will we get bearish about it? Probably if we get lower prices here and now, I would be a bit skeptical, only because we have this rising trend line from way back here. I mean, really, it's already touched here. I'll have to zoom in so you can see that. But even, you know, just today, it's come down, bounced off that rising trend line. So I really wouldn't be surprised if we head higher from here. The gold price would need to head higher as well to support that. Given that this is the trend line, somewhere up along this line here, we may even come back here, perhaps touch that. What would be even more bullish is if we did this. I'd like to see it consolidate just above this horizontal line, and then we take off. And we could coincide with that rising uptrended green line here. That would be ideal. That's your daily. Go down to the 2 hour. I prefer to use a 2 hour. I think it gives clearer signals. With the 2 hour, you can see that, yeah, we've already done that consolidating along that downtrending line. So if we go higher from here, that's going to be very supportive of higher prices going forward. And hopefully that's exactly what happens. This is a classic setup when we see this green, purple. You know, I think I'm colorblind. Purple line sort of, you know, heading horizontally this way with this descending black line. Usually when they meet and cross, sensationally bullish signal, much like this one here. I'm expecting something like this to happen. You'll notice that the squeeze momentum indicator is also about to cross the 0 line, and that coincided exactly with a really big bull run. It set us up for really strong moves to the upside. So hopefully we're looking at that, and it would certainly match in very well with the timing of both the rising trend line, the descending trend line, and the indicators overall. Okay, we see this divergence occurring. I'll point that out here. So we've got the price heading down, but the indicator is heading up, albeit slightly. It's still divergence, just like this. All right, so this trend line up, this trend line down, from the same point pretty much. Okay, so really clear and quality divergence here that indicates to us that this is probably going to head higher. We'll wait and see though. Let's look at a different stock here for... one that I really wanted to point out was RSG. It's been an absolute dog. And you can see here that it's really, really struggled, okay, right throughout this period of time. Long consolidation right through this region from 2016 all the way through to 2020. 4 years of distribution, in fact, because it actually did tank. Okay, so that's what's happened there. All right. Once again, I took this move here and I simply matched it up here and was hoping this would happen. Actually, it hasn't happened at all. It's been another failure, so we'll get rid of that. It didn't work out. That path that I put on there, I don't actually trade off that. It's just, I like to keep an eye on past moves and see how they applied to current moves and see if there is in fact a correlation. So you'll see here on the weekly that, I'll just expand that for a sec so we can see it. Oh, we've frozen up somehow. There we go. Yeah, so we see this is rolling over, but that's actually in the long run going to lead to divergence. Okay, we've already seen it in the longer term. I'll show you what I mean by that. So if we take this point over here and we draw a trend line across here, you'll notice that this is lower than it is over here. So that's rising, and at the same time, the price has descended, like so. Okay, divergence, classic divergence. But that's really, that's the weekly chart, and I'm not really paying much attention to the weekly chart at the moment. Obviously, to get really, really bullish on this one, we need to see it get above this descending line. I think it will, but we do need to see the price of gold go up. We'll go to the daily chart. Okay, so you can see that descending line we spoke of matches up perfectly here. Well, that's actually what we used to match it up. In the recent move, it couldn't get above it, so that's a bit negative. And we've now got to these new lows. Okay, so we've got new low here, a bit of a rally, new lows here, bit of a rally, and new lows again. I do expect we'll get a bounce here. Now, minimum probably come up to where this low is here. So what's that, 39 cents? I think we can do better than that though. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm looking for this to head higher. Where's my, it's probably going to do something like this. Maybe back down here and then break through. Maybe even up to match up with this line heading out this way. That might be a bit generous. Something like that might be realistic, and that would lead to a very nice, probably head and shoulders pattern. So your head and shoulders is along here. So you've got basically shoulder here. We could probably take it all the way to there. Head, crowd another little shoulder, and away we go. Inverted head and shoulders, I should say. All right, so that's Resolute Mining. One that we've been keeping an eye on is Red 5 Limited. Probably should have saved that, never mind. This one has played out a bit more like the previous trend I put in here. So this matches up with this. See how it matches up? Drag that over there. So I just extended that over here. Where was that? Oh, I lost my spot. I've forgotten where I put it. I don't know, maybe it's there. Oh no, I'll just undo it. There you go, that's where it was. Yeah, so it has rallied, it's come back down, it's trying to rally again. We're just going to bounce around here for a bit. And that's simply because red are in the phase of development, and that takes time. Once we see these highs get broken, I think that'll happen way over here. What's that going to be? April next year. We'll see it really take off. So I expect that to just bounce around through here, through that 25 to probably 30 range. We'll see that just bounce and get squeezed into that in the corner over here, and then we'll run. But that's only what the past is telling us about. Very, very typical bottoming process, this stock. Red 5 Limited. Another Goldie. Another one that's just gone into a phase. So just before I do, though, I will point out that I don't think I marked it on this chart, but the point where Red 5 started development of its new processing plant in Western Australia, we were really in this range in this part here, maybe even the low from memory. And so what you saw here is that was the bottom, okay, when they started to develop. So I'm going to show you another one here. This is Tieto, which is right at that stage now. Okay. So they announced that they have got finance sorted and development will start pretty soon. But like Red 5, they're just going to consolidate through here and then they'll break out and head higher. A bit like West African Resources did a while ago. But I mean, West African Resources is probably not the best example because their grades were outstanding and it's a really good mine they've got going on over there in Western Africa. But that was the same stage where they got the funding and the finances sorted through here, and then development started over here, and you can see that it's just been climbing ever since. And they're in production as of somewhere in, I'm just trying to think here, maybe somewhere in here they were in production, and they've just been consolidating along here. They've acquired another mine nearby, so we might see that. If gold goes higher again, that might head higher. But gold needs to actually successfully do that. Here's gold. Just go to the longer term chart because you don't want to see a 5-minute chart. Okay, we've been in this. We don't know for sure whether this is consolidation or distribution. It's one or the other. Boop, 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 up and down. Slowly descended down through here. Rallied pretty nicely through here. Big crash. And of course, we've just endured another crash over the last couple of days. Looking at that trend line there, it's probably, I mean, it really depends where you want to put it. We could probably adjust it and say, okay, if we match up this low here, maybe that's the trend. It does actually touch it here. That might actually be a better sort of line to take. And you can see that if that's the case, and we join up these upper lines, you're getting squeezed into here. So when either of these lines is breached, either to the downside or the upside, I think we're going to get a fairly significant move. The odds are in favour of the upside because they're printing so much money. And that's just how the market works. You might also, and by the way, I'll just point out that when I'm charting, it's easy to connect the highest high, and then try to find where the trend line's going to be. And if we did that in this occasion, we probably would have gone down through here. And you can see that it breaks and it gets confusing, makes a high. It's not really working out. So you're going to go, oh, crap, maybe I'll join it up with this high here, and you do this again. Not really working out. You get the breakout, false breakout, breaks down. Oh my God, what am I going to do? So in actual fact, what I find is a little bit easier is to ignore the highest high and come back down to the second highest high, and then have a look at joining them up. Something like that fits better. I might even take something lower here. I think that's probably more like it. And you can see that that just keeps tapping up. So it taps here, hits it there, hits it really nicely there, hits it here again. And so it's a matter of, over time working out what the best points to connect are. So I'd be pretty comfortable right now saying that is the line in the sand, even though it doesn't join up with either this high or that previous high. So that's my preference. And it really is just about working out what is the best fit, because there is no right or wrong angle. It's the angle that works best with the most touches. And so that's, I think, where a lot of traders go wrong, and why, if you were to connect these points here, you'd actually get thrown all over the place and you'd be left totally confused as to what the market's going to do. Now, where these work best is when they coincide with your indicators on the bottom. So, for example, was here, where you get this move and divergence away, matches up with the crossing here, and also this blue line actually heads straight down. I mean, that's your perfect out signal. You'd be pretty foolish not to take that. Once again, here's a really good in signal. Where is it? Right there. Okay. Now, it's not exactly how I trade, but it's in that range. So you would have had a nice buy through here. And are we there again? That's the question, I guess. Is it a buy today? It is. I should have had the date. It's the 29th of November. To me, it doesn't look like this is the bottom. I think we'll actually come back down and we will touch this line again. These will diverge. This will eventually make its way down. We'll get a signal down here to cross. It might be quite similar to this sort of thing here. Okay, so yep, that might roll over, head down, forming a bottom, rally back up to this line and see where we go from there. Silver, that was gold, wasn't it? Yep, silver. Let's look at silver. Silver, okay. That silver trade there hasn't really paid off. I mean, I'm not really sure. I joined up these a couple of days ago. That's why that's like that. But yeah, that didn't really work out. It worked out for a little while. Up and down, up, down. I probably didn't factor in that we'd come all the way down here. That's probably more realistic. That's the bullish case for silver as it stands. Bearish case is that actually we come back down here to this previous low. Oh, that wouldn't be very pleasing to see. And I'd be very surprised because physical silver is in really, really, really scarce amounts. So I can't see that the bullion banks would get away with smashing this all the way down to 21.65. I think that we would see a huge amount of physical buying of silver, which would bankrupt quite a number of these bullion, but not bankrupt, but it'd certainly be a massive hit to them. So stay tuned for that. If we look at the shorter time frame, that 2-hour chart, I think we probably have got a buy signal here. Yeah, we have. Okay, so I'm seeing this divergence. Put it in there. Okay, that's the trend from that perspective on the chart. But if we look at our indicators, particularly the momentum, squeeze momentum, we're kind of in that area there. So, low, lower low. Here's a low, but it's a higher low here. So if that's going to head up, I think you'd find that price will head up in this direction. See what happens when we get up here somewhere. We've got these volume nodes in behind here that are a little hard to see where we're going to have some resistance. So it might be a case of getting somewhere up in here. We'll use I'll just put that back there. I'll grab so it's more realistic. So what do I say? I said coming up in here, we might, bobble around here for a bit, and hopefully from here we'll head higher. The next stop is up here, $24.69, and then who knows what we'll do from there, something like this. That's bullish. We'd expect also that this would probably make some sort of bottoming formation. To me at this stage it looks, if that's going to play out, it's going to be a inverse head and shoulders pattern. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking at the moment. Might end the video there. Just covered a few stocks in gold today. I haven't really spoken much about the variants in the COVID vaccine. That sounds like it was a bit of a false flag, and I think prices in the stocks in general will head higher, at least in the short term. I'm not expecting any kind of significant pullback until probably after Christmas, but we'll wait and see. All right, guys, thanks for listening.